early 80s or whatever, and but they're just being true to themselves, you know what I mean? Well, I guess they have sold out here and there a little bit, but
Yeah.
they're still doing their little kind of like mid-pace blast thing with the kind of thing, and
Yeah. You guys are featured on Primeval Sound's compilation Crush Your Canadian Idols #2.
yeah.
Are you on #1 as well?
No.
No? Okay. Describe what kind of music's going to be featured on this compilation.
Roland?
Stuff like you?
That's actually a question
Avon
I can't
dealer?
answer because
Well-
I just know we're on the compilation. I haven't had a chance to hear it or don't even know a list of the bands that's on it.
Yeah.
From what I know, Steve from GOD,
Yeah.
he's putting together this comp. He did the first one. He's doing the second one now, and I think it's supposed to be like a tribute to Mike Majewski a little bit kind of thing, and then there's going to be a few Fado live tracks on there recorded in Whippy, or at least one of them. We're going to be on there. Putrescence is
Yeah.
going to be on there. I think Unborn Dead might have a live track on there. It's just a bunch of bands that they all liked, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the majority of them are doing original tracks for the comp. And it's supposed to be coming out this year, I think, late summer or something like that. So check it out,
Yeah.
keep tabs when it's coming out. And it's going to be limited to like 100 or 300 copies. It's going to be a full LP, so make sure you grab one when it comes out. It's going to be fucking killer.
Yeah.
It's going to be a killer fucking release.
And this all spawned from the fact that Mike Majewski and his early passing, he sent, and we talked about it with the Unborn Dead guys before, his passing really had an effect on the entire community of music in the entire city and all the areas around it. And why was he so influential with so many people? Because I think his name deserves some sort of mention here tonight.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah, he was my best friend. I knew him for 17 years, and that.
Roland went to elementary school with him, I believe.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, actually, we were teaching him
Yeah.
swear words in grade 5, and he came over from Poland, and we'd always tease him about his Polish heritage and stuff. But it was all in good fun, right?
He was a metalhead, so he was all right, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. His death was the hardest thing I've had to deal with since quitting drugs 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so challenging now that no matter how tough life gets or what challenges get thrown my way, they're pale in comparison to his death. I mean, I think that's the gift. Actually, his girlfriend was mentioning to me, she's in Paris now, she was saying the gift he left us is having the strength to deal with almost anything after his death. And I'd have to agree with that because that was huge growth. That was a really tough time for me this summer that just passed. But what he did is he was so passionate. He didn't care about money at all. He even turned money down many times, And I remember there's a conversation I had with him where I'm encouraging him to get more money. He's like, "Nah, man, I'm just helping these guys out." He did posters and T-shirts and
Yeah, he's an amazing artist.
promotion,
He's an amazing artist,
like
yeah.
little flyers and stuff, promos for
Yeah.
bands all over the place, and tons of artwork and just free. He didn't charge, and when he did charge, it was a light charge, and he just helped so many people, the members of the art and the music community.
Like when over 10 years ago, when finally I moved up to Durham, Mike was starting to put on some shows there. Those are my first like metal experience in Oshawa. He was booking shows. He was bringing all these brutal bands. Flesh Feast from London, you remember? He brought them down.
Yeah.
Rotting, he brought down to Oshawa. We were getting, like, every weekend, man, we were getting these brutal shows, man. Turnouts were killer.
Yeah.
Having killer pits going on. Oshawa was a fucking killer town to see a show. Still is on certain nights, but Mike was doing a good job bringing all this brutality down to town. And he started up Fado. They were playing as well. Fuck the Facts in the early days. They were coming down on like Monday, Wednesday nights. Mike was booking them. It's like so many shows that he brought Cryptopsy down even once. I remember too. It was like over
no way.
Yeah, that was amazing.
that one time.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Yep, Cryptopsy came down twice, I believe, and we had a lot of good times. And Mike would always drop his own flyer with his own imagination, and he'd be there riding his bike,
Yeah.
going around town, postering up, the city, getting the word out. Turnouts are always fucking killer, man.
Yeah.
The shows are always awesome. Shows are always awesome. And then he was still, he's still doing it at the end there. And then remember I was at the last Fado show there they were having a release for one of their 7 inches there, and we were talking. And then he was planning on doing this Oshawa Metal Fest. He was trying to get something like that going. He used to do Scab Fest years ago. Oshawa says yes to metal or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he was asking me, you know, if Unborn Dead would be down, and I was fucking right, man.
Nice.
He's like, Mesrine's coming, and I'm like, fucking just, you know, where's the line? I wanna
Sounds like a
sign.
good show.
Oh, it was gonna be killer, man. I was really excited, you know what I mean? And then about a week after that, we got the news what happened. You know, he was out in BC, and then he had to leave us, and then. We dealt with that. We all paid our respects, to Mike. And then with the same date that he had that last show booked, they still did the show.
Yeah, it was a
So
memorial.
we had the memorial show. Yeah, and it was a fucking killer show. Man.
That was
he would have been really, really happy.
Yeah.
I remember Mesrine was going on. It was real fucking late. The place was still packed. Pit was fucking brutal as shit, man.
Well, yeah, that was a brutal
nobody
pit.
was going nowhere, man.
You know what? I never
sick show.
met Mike personally, but from what I've heard from everybody that ever knew him, sounded like a great guy.
Yeah.
No, well,
And-
that's why everybody it was such a big deal for us because he was one out of like a million. You know what I mean? Like anybody he knew, nobody says anything bad about him.
No.
Never seen anybody say bad thing about the guy because there's a reason for that. He was good shit.
I think he spent his time on this earth and he was evolved, and it was time for him to move on. I mean, so many things I would stress out about. I mean, I remember when I was trying to quit drugs still, and he'd be like, "It's just in your head, man. Like, just you're not addicted. Just stop." And I had my epiphany when I went to treatment and everything, but he was a large help to me because, then I got kicked in my house. I would have ended up on the streets, but he took me in for a night, and that one night bought me enough time before the treatment center called, and I got in there and accepted, and my whole life just changed once I went there. And he was a big help to that. And I even heard from his girlfriend and stuff that there was a skip in his step when I got out and I was clean, and he was a big part to help me do that. Him and I actually started Avon Dealer originally. And we had that for about a year, that project going for about a year. Then, due to complications with my drug addiction at the time, it couldn't go on because I just had the motivation. I was going through a mess at the time. And so we kind of put it on hold. And we had about 8 tracks, 4 with vocals. And, it was... I had asked him after I was clean and I was out of treatment. I asked him. I had a breakfast with him. It was actually the last time I saw him. I had a breakfast with him before he was going to go on tour to BC. And... he told me about a dream he had where he was on top of this mountain looking down and there's these mermaids calling to him, which is kind of ironic because, he was hiking when he fell, right?
Oh, wow.
And so it was the parallels that I saw after that were like, whoa, he basically envisioned his death. But he told me, I asked him, and I said, man, I really want to start Avon Dealer again. It's either that or I sell the drums because I need something to do because I need someone to play with. And he's like, you know what, man, I don't have enough time, but I really encourage you to continue playing the drums because Avon Dealer could really be something incredible. And those words rang in my head after his death. I'm like, wow, he really believed in this thing. And so I decided to start it back up with Stefano, and it's like his spirit.
I was nagging him for a while, just to jam because I was looking for somebody to jam with the guitar. And then it kind of just fell into place like that.
Yeah.
When we had one jam together, and then after that, it was just like
After
right
that?
away. It was like beep.
His creative
One
energy
radio
is-
interview after, and then boom.
Yeah, his creative energy is definitely in this project.
Yeah, I feel it too, especially in the first few jams. I felt like we were thinking of Mike. You know what I mean? And some of the material, like it could be like Fado shit. Like it's got to. Some of it's got to feel like that one bass part that Dan does.
Yeah, that's a really Fado
It sounds like
feel.
fucking Fado, man.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Certain things I was coming up with, thinking of Mike, and I'm sure he would love the project.
Oh, yeah.
If he heard the material, he'd be like, this is fucking killer, man.
Yeah.
All due respect to Mike, on a lighter note, have you guys ever tried Mandragora? Or is it Mandragora?
Mandragora.
Mandragora.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I haven't tried it.
No?
I know it's a song title, but I really don't know what it means. I think it's something to do with African
It's
something.
an hallucinogenic drug that comes from the
Oh.
mandrake root.
Yeah.
So if you boil
Right,
it and
right,
drink it
the
as a
root,
tea or
yes.
smoke it, I don't think you can smoke it, but you can drink it like a tea.
Yeah.
And it gets you high to the bejeebas.
I could only imagine.
Well, I'd try it if somebody had it. I don't got a problem as long as it's not like acid or something like that. Some like
I'm sure
serious chemical problem.
Probably worse.
If it's some sort of natural thing, I'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
You know?
When I saw the name, I'm like, God, this is a pretty fucking awesome song. I mean, it's the number 1 on your playlist on MySpace. So that's
Yes.
the first track you hear. And I was listening to that. I'm like, it's a weird name. You guys just make it up. So I looked it up on my little dictionary thing. And it turns out it's a drug that comes from the mandrake root. And it gets you high.
Yeah.
So I don't know where did that name come from.
Riley thought that one up. If I remember correctly.
I'm not sure if it was Lee or Riley, but the song's about how the tribes that would harvest this root would perform this ritual, to gods or the I don't know, deities or spirits, so they wouldn't be cursed. Because if you harvest this root without doing the ritual and putting some offerings on the ground, then you could be cursed. And that's a mythology that goes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any last statements, last words for metal listeners and non-metal listeners abroad from not just Canada but the U.S. and the world as a whole for Avon Dealer?
I got last words. We haven't played yet, but get ready, motherfuckers. Avon Dealer's coming to your town. Get ready.
Aptly put. There you go. With MySpace as well. Don't forget the MySpace thing.
www.myspace.com/the Avon Dealers. That's where you want to go. Set it as your homepage.